The title is Adapting to the Effects of Climate Change. Climate change means long-term changes in the Earth's weather and temperature. These changes create many problems in different parts of the world. These problems are the effects of climate change. Adapt means to change so that you can deal with a new situation. So the whole title means that people are changing to deal with the problems caused by climate change. One of the causes of climate change mentioned in this passage is carbon dioxide emissions. This means carbon dioxide gas released into the air. Some effects of climate change mentioned in the passage are global warming, melting ice caps, and rising sea levels. For example, in question 15, the question says effects of climate change. The passage says global warming. Another synonym is prediction in the question and forecasting in the passage. The question also asks how long. So we are looking for a time period. In the passage, we find around 40 years. This helps us confirm that we have found the correct answer. Adapt is a word we see in many different forms and for many different uses in this passage. Paragraph B mentions there is flooding. To avoid that, roads are raised. Later it mentions road adaptations, which means the changes made to the roads, in this case, raising the roads. This helps us find the answer to question 18. We see two other synonyms when looking for this answer. Installation becomes setup. The word efficient means something that works well. There is no synonym of efficient in the passage, but it says pumps that can remove up to 75,000 liters of water per minute, which means they are efficient pumps. We also see this word in question 26. When looking for the answer, we do not see the exact word adapt, but it says this technology is becoming necessary in places that did not previously need it. This shows that these places need to adapt to flooding. Let's now understand the difference between adopt and adapt. Adopt means we accept something. Adapt means we adjust to something. This difference is very important. When looking for the answer to question 23, we may get confused because the question mentions adopt. In paragraph E, we see the word adapt along with some other words from the question. But the answer actually comes from paragraph C, where the synonym of adopt is transition towards. That is, change in such a way that we accept these new methods. The other synonyms we see here are approaches instead of strategies, critical instead of essential, engage and benefit instead of involve and help, and finally, the question says residents of the region, while the passage says communities and local decision makers. Two other words that we see many synonyms for are project and method. The passage is about the problems caused by climate change and different ways people deal with them. So instead of the word project, we see words like program and pilot projects. For methods or solutions, we see words like approach, strategy, and technology. One other word we see is innovation, which means new ideas or new ways of solving a problem. Another useful word is intervention. Interventions are things that people do when there is a problem and they want to improve or solve it. For example, if a couple is having serious problems, family members may intervene and try to help. In this passage, we see this word in questions 17 and 24. Here, intervention simply means the actions or methods used to deal with climate change and its effects. So, whenever you see the word intervention, think of actions taken to solve a problem. One phrase that may catch your attention is vulnerable neighborhoods in paragraph B. Vulnerable means most at risk or most likely to be affected by a problem. These are clearly places that need help. However, this paragraph cannot be the answer because the question is asking for a technology used to locate these areas, and no technology is mentioned here. In paragraph F, the technology is mentioned, which is a mapping tool, and the areas in need of intervention are streets with low tree canopy cover. Tree canopy cover means the branches and leaves of trees covering an area. This picture makes the meaning much clearer. Think of an umbrella. The part that covers you from above is the canopy. In the same way, a tree's canopy is the branches and leaves that spread out over the ground. We have some more nature related vocabulary. Mangroves are trees that grow in coastal areas. When looking for the answer to question 19, we see semi permeable dams being built. Semi permeable means that some water can pass through. Normally, we think of dams as some concrete structures that block water completely. But these dams are made from bamboo poles, so they allow some water to pass through while working like mangrove roots. Another useful word here is subsidence, which means the sinking of land. This word often appears in passages about climate change and geography, but you may also see it in passages about roads or buildings sinking. An important reading tip here is about punctuation. Some punctuation marks can help us find answers more quickly. One of them is the colon. A colon is usually followed by an explanation or a list. For example, when we are looking for the answer to question 19, the answer was spread across the paragraph. The colon after mangroves told us that the next part was simply explaining something about mangroves. Since question 19 was not asking about mangroves, we could skip that explanation and continue reading the rest of the paragraph. However, question 14 is asking how a type of plant functions. In this case, the information after the colon is exactly what we need. There are some other useful words here as well. An ecosystem is a community of living things and the environment they live in. Sediment is sand or mud carried by water. The seabed is the bottom of the sea, and tidal currents are the movements of water caused by tides. Here's a simple picture showing how mangroves protect coastlines. Notice the roots trapping sediment, the seabed building up, and the waves and tidal currents losing energy. Another synonym we see is survival. In the passage, this is expressed as a matter of life and death. We also see cost effective, which means cheaper than the other solutions or giving good results for less money. So far, we have looked at vocabulary that helps us understand the passage. Now, let's look at a few words that you can also use in your own writings. Vulnerable means likely to be harmed or affected. In the passage, we have areas which are vulnerable to flooding, etc. But we can use this word in many other situations. For example, young people are often more vulnerable to peer pressure, or older people are more vulnerable to certain diseases. Another useful word is critical, which means extremely important. We also have similar words like crucial and vital. In the passage, we read, "It's critical that we transition to words." Transition to words means to gradually move or change to something new. For example, you could write, "Many countries are transitioning towards renewable energy." Two more useful words are approach and strategy. Both refer to a way or plan of dealing with a problem. For example, the best approach or strategy for reducing crime depends on the causes of the problem. Another academic word is infrastructure. This refers to basic facilities and systems such as roads, transport, electricity, or water supply. This is a very useful word because it can be used in many different topics. For example, you can write, "Better transport infrastructure can reduce traffic congestion," or "Governments should invest in rural infrastructure." These next two words are useful because they are almost opposites. Exacerbate means to make a problem worse. For example, heavy traffic can exacerbate air pollution. Mitigate means to reduce the harmful effects of a problem. For example, governments should take steps to mitigate the effects of climate change. Another pair of useful words is sustainable and sustainability. Sustainable means something that can continue for a long time without harming the environment. Sustainability is the idea of protecting resources for the future. For example, cities should invest in sustainable public transport. Finally, we have the word staple. Here it means the main or most common thing. For example, you could write, "Reading should be a staple part of language learning," or "Regular exercise should be a staple part of a healthy lifestyle." That's it for the key vocabulary from this passage. If you'd like the complete step-by-step solution with explanations for every question, you'll find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. All the very best.